Hello, everybody. It's Thursday. It's not normally the day that we stream, but today's a weird week, and the scheduling is all. And so here I am with Slay the Spire. Downfall, this way. Yes. This is a big fan mod, which mod you see here, by, I think this is like the collected work of a bunch of different people. And there were various mods that were created like, here's this bad guy that you can play, and here's this other boss from the game that you can play. And so this was all packaged together and put out as a thing that you could download for free. And I've been playing a lot of it because I really like Slay the Spire, and this is just more Slay the Spire. It's like, what if this thing that you already loved and have enjoyed in big gulps of time, off and on over the past like 6 years. This is a roguelike. It's a roguelike deck builder. Summons Arv. For him to lovingly make fun of me. In fact, I joked about this in the Arvanelleron Discord when I said that I was going to be playing this. So I should change the game settings so that there is some... That's loud. So I'm going to set this down a little bit more. All right, now you should be able to hear the sound, I hope. Oh, look at this. The game is too big. Un momento. I'm going to go to this, and then I'm going to do studio mode, so I can go back to this, and, well, now that's right. All right. Did it work right? No, it's not working. What's happening? All right, I'm going to go back to the game, and in studio mode. Now it's better? It looks like it's better now. Did that make it work? Nope. Doop 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 doop. Live production excitement. I think it's because my screen's too big. Bloop, and then this has to go at the bottom. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. So I had sound for Slay the Spire off for years now because I just play it like when I'm listening to a podcast or when I'm cooling down for the night. So we're going to play as the Gremlins first. And I may make the game slightly softer. No? Okay. Now it's softer. So this is a little gremlin friend. This is the heart of the Spire, which is the kind of big boss in the main game. But now I'm playing as denizens of the Spire, and I'm going to go and fight heroes. At the beginning of a run, you get to choose from some bonuses. You get a new card right away. So in this, I have 5 characters that I'm switching between, which is very different than the normal game. So they each get max plus 1 HP, which is like 5 max HP bonus total. That's gigantic. So I'm going to just choose a card. So this is the card drafting page. Steal all artifact, deal 9 damage, exhaust. At the start of your turn, gain 1 whiz, or gain an echo of a random skill, swap to Gremlin Wizard. I'm going to take Wizardry. And I'm going to make everything a little bit softer again. Or a little bit more softer. So, in normal Slay the Spire, the boss is at the top, But this is all flipped around because you're fighting as the Spire's minions and you're going after the heroes. So this is a fun, like it's like a literal and metaphorical inversion of the game. So you're fighting your way down in each area. And so you start out at a rest stop, which normally you get a rest right before a boss. That's a shop. That's a very early shop. But if I don't take that option, my next shop option is all the way down here. But I've got plenty of fights, and then there's a... So we have... this is a random thing. It could be a fight, it could be a treasure chest, it could be the merchant, it could be a fight. So these are rest spots, treasure, normal enemy fights, elite fights, which are kind of like totem fights in Inscription. Sort of, but not really. And yeah, so I'm going to try to get to this merchant because the merchant also has a fun and interesting thing. So at a rest stop or a rest spot, you can rest, which is important for the gremlins because the individual gremlins can get knocked out and then you just can't use them because they're out of the fight. But you can, if you do a rest at one of these stops, one of your gremlins will come back, will come back to consciousness, which is very good. Smith or Ruby Key. I'm going to recall the Ruby Key, which you can then later spend souls, which is like money, to break and gain a benefit. So now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to have a fight with the merchant. In the normal mode of the game, you don't fight the merchant because the merchant is on the hero's side, but we are not on the hero's side. So here are my 5 gremlins. I have the Angry Gremlin, gains 2 temporary strength when attacked. Strength makes your attacks better. The Sneaky Gremlin, who says after you play an attack, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. The Gremlin Wizard, who says after you play a skill, gain 1 Whiz, which is a buff that when you hit 3, you get a special bonus to your attack. The Shield Gremlin, who every time you play a skill, you gain 2 block. And the Delightful Fat Gremlin, who says when you play an attack, apply 1 weak to all targets, because this cute little gremlin has a hammer that makes enemies weak. They are all beautiful, wonderful little monsters, and I love them. We're going to switch to the Delightful Boy here, and we're going to hit the enemy a couple of times, because when I hit them, I make them weak, which means they're going to do less damage when they attack me. So the merchant runs away after a few turns every time you run into them. So one way to think about this encounter is I have to survive like 5 turns. But when the merchant shows back up, they have not regained their health, and you get a special bonus if you full-on defeat the merchant. So this is one of the kind of special cards. When you start a game, you have 4 strikes, 4 defends, and then you get a couple of cards that are unique to your character class. So I can swap between gremlins, which is what I did last turn, and then the Gremlin Dance has a different special effect for every gremlin. So you'll see that it's scrolling between the different versions based on, depending on which gremlin I have active in the front, which is really cool. So I attack, the enemy is down on strength, and now they have so little strength, they're actually going to attack for 0 damage each time, which is good for me. I don't get all the way through the block, but I'm not going to take any damage. So I get hit 5 times for 0 damage each, which is 0. And now the enemy still has block, and they're going to do something. I wish I could change gremlins, but I can't. So I'm just going to hit that again, and then get in a little bit more damage. They've got all the weak happening right now. And what they do is they steal souls, which is the currency. So they're basically stealing my money. Now I'm going to swap to the Sneaky Gremlin. And I'm going to attack for some extra damage because I do 3 damage to a random enemy every time I attack with the sneaky gremlin. So I did 46 damage, which is not a ton, but it's pretty good for the first encounter with the merchant. So now, because I did a fight, I get to draft a card. Toe Stub says, deal 5 damage. If the enemy is weak, apply 2 vulnerable, and enemies that are vulnerable take more damage from attacks. I'm going to go ahead with that because I had some decent success with a build of this deck that focused on the fat gremlin who made the enemy weak. But now, because I fought the merchant, the heart will let me sacrifice souls and do stuff. So I have 84, which means I could remove a card from my deck, which is very important in deck builders because these starting cards tend to be less powerful than the cards you get later on. Or I could buy 1 or 2 cards. I have 84, so I could buy... I could not quite buy 2 of these cards, but I could buy any one of these on the top row, or I could buy potions, which I kind of are one-shot benefits. So I'm leaning toward a weak-oriented build with that Toe Stub card. I also have this Wizardry, which leads me toward a Wiz build, which is the Gremlin Wizard. So I could buy Burly Blow, which is deal 4 damage, but repeat for each stack of weak that the enemy has. And so later on in that fight, the merchant had 6 stacks of weak, so it would be deal 4 damage, repeat 6 times. And that gets really powerful, which is why this costs 2. Or I could get Heckle, which is a power, so I play it and it just stays for the fight. Whenever you apply a debuff to an enemy, like weak, you gain 2 temporary hit points, which is kind of like D&D or like video game temporary hit points. They get lost first, and they don't stick for the whole fight, but they last longer than block, because block goes away every turn. I'm going to go with Burly Blow because I haven't tried it before, and it leaves me with enough souls that I can buy a strength potion too. Normally I pull cards out of my deck, but I'm interested to see what it looks like if I kind of try to race toward a build a little bit faster and kind of challenge my conventional wisdom. So I have the Gremlin Wizard in front now because my starting relic says at the start of each combat, gain 1 energy, draw 1 card, and swap to the next Gremlin. So I have 1 more card than I normally would. And I'm going to play Wizardry. I'm going to play the Gremlin Dance, which gives me 2 Wiz here. And then I have 2 energy left. If I play a Defend, that's a skill, which gives me the Wiz. And now, when I have Bang, which I get after 3 Wiz, the next attack you play consumes all stacks of Wiz and deals 10 additional damage. So now this does 15 instead of 5. Big flop. So that's a bunch of damage for 1 turn. Very nice. So this enemy uses a ritual because they are a follower of the Awakened One, which is one of the bosses. So at the end of its turn, it's going to gain 3 strength. Every turn, at the end of its turn, it's going to gain 3 strength. So it's going to attack for 6, and then 9, and then 12, and then 15, and then, whoo, very bad. So, 6 here. I have 2 attacks. If I do 1, 2, now I have my Bang again, and I can switch to the Mad Gremlin, because every time the Mad Gremlin is attacked, they gain 2 temporary strength, which makes their next turn's attacks do more. So I get the Bang attack for 16, and now I'm going to be attacked for 6, but I have 10 block. However, being attacked is the trigger for the Angry Gremlin, so I'm going to have that bonus strength. So now I'm going to hit harder. The enemy doesn't have weak, but each of my attacks is going to do 8 now, and they have 16 health. So 1, 2, and we're done. Got some souls, and we get to draft a card. So here's another thing that checks on weak. Deal 4 damage. If the enemy is weak, remove a stack of weak to gain 2 shivs. And shivs are these zero-cost attacks for 4 damage, but when you play it, it's exhausted, which means it kind of leaves the game. So it's a one-shot attack. Or I could have Dagger Dance, deal 3 damage to all enemies 2 times. So 3 damage to everybody, then 3 damage to everybody again, which would be pretty good for the Sneaky Gremlin, because then they would do an extra 3 damage to somebody each of those 2 times. Or Gremlin Arms, gain a random assortment of 2 shivs and wards. So I either get a 3-block card for 0, a 4-block card for 0, some combination of the 2 of those. I'm going to do Gremlin Arms because a lot of the weak cards have been about attacks, and I don't want to completely compromise my ability to do defense, especially because each of these gremlins only has 16 hit points. So taking one big hit, I might lose one of my gremlins and the kind of utility that they give, because these 5 gremlins really work well together. One gives block, one makes the enemy weaker, one does extra damage in a certain way, this one does extra damage in a different way, this one gets stronger when attacked. So I have the shield gremlin here, so I'm going to go ahead and use wizardry, so I'll gain that whiz every turn. So without weak, the burly blow is just 4 damage for 2, which is not very good because strike is worth more. But I can do my Gremlin Dance, I get block, which I don't need right away because this enemy is not attacking. They're just going to do a debuff on me. So now I'm frail, which means I gain 25% less block from cards. But they're going to do a status on me again, so I don't need to be blocking. Instead, I'm going to switch to... Oh, wrong one. I meant to do this boyo because I wanted to do weak. But, such is life. It should not be a massive problem for us, honestly. Alright, so they're going to attack for 8, but they have 12 hit points left. I can do enough damage. So we do the Gremlin Dance, and then we do an attack, and we're done. So, look at this. Because we've been drafting... Yeah, Toast Stub for a blob seems questionable. Yeah, I suppose a blow... Like, does Toast Stub then turn into Pseudopod Stub? Maybe? So Target Wounds is a rare card. You can tell that it's rare because it's in gold. Deal 3 additional damage to weakened enemies. So that's kind of going farther on my make everybody weak build. Or Proper Tools, deal 5 damage. If the enemy intends to attack, I get 3 wards in my hand. Or if they're not intending to attack, I get more shivs, which lets me do more attacks. Or Edible Armor, convert your block into temporary HP. Like I said earlier, temporary HP doesn't go away every turn the way that block does, so that's useful. But I am going to go for Target Wounds because I've never seen it before, and I'm curious to try to make this weak build work. I'm going to need something that will let me switch to this Gremlin without needing my one, because right now I have Tag Team, and it's the only thing that will switch me to this Gremlin. So we're going to do Gremlin Arms. So that gave us shivs. These enemies have Curl Up, where upon receiving attack damage, they're going to roll up and gain some amount of block, but once per combat. So they now have 7 block. I'm going to hit the other one to clear those, because if I waited other turns, then hitting them would let... I mean, they're gremlins, so I don't know that eating armor is necessarily a problem for them. Maybe? So we're going to go here, because that makes them vulnerable, and now they have 2 weak. And so if I hit here, it's going to do 6 damage and then repeat twice. So that enemy is down, but I'm going to take 5 damage here because I just didn't draw any block. Which is not great because this is our guy that makes people weak. And I'm just going to block a bunch and stick with him until I can attack again, hoping that this weekend will not keep me from being able to defeat the enemy. So, I'm going to use this power, and then I'm going to attack, so that now I do 3 additional damage to weakened enemies. So you see that 4 goes to a 7. And that's that. So we took a hit, but we are doing our weak thing. So this is another way of applying weak, which is good because then we don't just we don't only get weak from this little from this friend. So we can rest and get some health back for the gremlin, but we don't necessarily need, like, everybody else is full health. I could also upgrade a card, but I think I want to go fight a elite, because when you beat an elite you get a relic, and relics are really good because they stay with you the whole time, and relics can really help define your build. So we're going to get that whiz. This enemy is asleep, which means that I don't actually have to, like, I'm not getting attacked right now, which means that I could wait a turn or two, play my powers, kind of set myself up to have a good turn. Because when this enemy's armor breaks, they will wake up, and I will, like, they're not going to go back to sleep. So I have a little bit of prep time with this enemy. And so I'm going to go to... Do I want to go... Yeah, I should not try to be smart here, like too clever. And we're going to go to this friend, and then we're going to do this. So I'm going to hit... Oh, nope, those blocks. So I'm going to hit them, and that makes them weak, and then they become vulnerable. The vulnerable lasts 2 turns. And I'm going to play those to get them out of my hand, because 3 block is not a ton, and I want to make sure to get to my cards that make use of making the enemy weak. Like this. So I deal extra damage to weakened enemies, and now there's the question of, do I want to go ahead and start doing, like, real damage to and break through the block here? So I would do 9 damage, and then another 9 damage. I think they will wake up after this turn, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now they're awake, and then I hit them again, and they're at 97 of 111, and they're weak for 2 turns. So they don't attack that turn, but now they will start attacking. They are still weak for 1. So I have 3 energy. I can attack once, and then if I do Burly Blow, they'll have 2 stacks of weak, so that my Burly Blow will hit for 4, 8, 12. But then I will take 13 damage, which will knock this gremlin out, which is not good. So we're going to do 1 block. And instead I'm just going to do 2 normal strikes, which do 9 damage each because of the target wounds. So 13 minus 5. I'm going to take 8. I have 3 health left on this little gremlin friend. So I can do 16 there, and then I can tag out to my shield gremlin, who will get lots of block, because every time I play a skill, they get 2 more block. So now we have 14 versus 12. So 2 turns of weak left on this enemy. And I'm going to go ahead and use my strength potion, so now we have 2 more damage per attack. And we don't have any more blocks, and we don't need them, so I'm going to play this hoping to get a shiv, which I did. And that's another 9. And then we did that. This is going to be bad for us. Siphon Soul takes away 1 strength and 1 dexterity. Minus 1 dexterity means I will get 1 less block from every card that gives me block, which is not great. The enemy has 1 weak, so I'm not going to get the bonus block. But they are weak, so they're going to get vulnerable. So 15 each means that now the enemy is down. A Maw Bank says whenever you climb a floor, gain 12 souls. No longer works when you spend any souls at a shop. So if I wait a long time to spend souls again, I will be getting a lot extra. So this swaps me to Fat Gremlin, which I think is what I want. Because that lets me get to my person who does weak much more rapidly. So I get some souls here. Bag of Marvels makes enemies vulnerable. That sounds pretty good. And so there's a shop down here, but maybe I don't want to do that because I'm going to let the Maw Bank build up. This boss being on fire means that they hold the green gem here. And I want to collect and break all of these if I can, because that will let me kind of face the end game boss. But going there means going through the shop, so maybe I'll actually go around and fight the kind of gem bearer elite later on. Now we're gonna go do an event. You fall into a puddle. It's made of slime goop. You can feel goop in your ears, goop in your nose, goop everywhere. Not great. Climbing out, you notice that it's stuck to your body in a unique-looking yellow slime creature. It appears to have been collecting souls from unfortunate adventurers who fell into a puddle. How convenient. But I could gain 450 souls, but I would add 3 of the curse Icky to my deck, which will just take up a slot, and other curses you can play and get rid of them. This one, when you play it, you gain Slimed, which is a different lesser curse that you can exhaust by playing. So Icky is just worse because you have to play it for 1 and then play the thing it makes for 1 to get it totally out of your deck for the turn, or for the battle. I can't select 0. So instead, I'm going to take 150 souls and 1 of Icky. So now I'm at 299, which is a bunch. But remember that when I spend any souls, the Maw Bank is going to stop collecting extras for me. So there's that Icky. So I can apply 1 weak, but it won't give me any block. This is just going to do extra damage for weak. They have vulnerable, but not weak. So that's a bummer. So instead, I'm going to spend all my energy on these, because that means that I now have Whiz and Bang, and I'm going to apply 1 weak here. I could have played the Icky to kind of build toward getting rid of it for this fight, but I don't think it's going to be a huge problem, because I do have the Bang here. Now, I don't have much more block, is the trick. So, I have 5, I'm taking 12. Not great. So, my little gremlin friends are getting beat up. So, I could switch to Fat Gremlin here, but these enemies are not attacking. However, temporary HP does not go away. And I have 2 left, so let's do that. When you defeat one of these enemies, you gain vulnerable, but they're not attacking me. So now I'm going to attack and then also give them vulnerable. If I could give them more weak, I might switch away to somebody else, but I'm just going to stay. So they got stronger. So now they're doing 13 damage. Can I do 23 damage this turn? So I can do 9, 18, 27. I can. 1, 2, 3. So unfortunately, temporary HP does not turn into like healing. Now this is interesting because every time the Fat Goblin attacks it, the enemy gets weak. So something that would give me bonus attacks would be pretty good. But if I look at my deck, I've got 4 attacks, 4 defense, 1, 2, 3 extra attacks, 1 one thing that gives me extra defend. So I could take Glimmer, which deals 1 damage for 1, which is bad, but I gain 2 wards, which are 3 block each for free. I'm just going to go all out on offense, because here I can rest and heal my Gremlins. I'm going to spend 100 souls as a free action, so it doesn't take the kind of rest turn, to destroy the red key and gain 1 strength. So every combat I'm going to start with 1 strength, and then I'm going to rest my Gremlins. So Fat Gremlin is at 7, Gremlin Wizard is at 13, but now I have spent souls, right? No, you spend souls at a shop. That was not a shop. So I can go here and keep collecting the maw. I think when the maw stops working, it's going to go gray. Flawed. At the end of your turn, transform all cards in handy into random status cards. Exhaust. But I would get to upgrade 3 random cards. Yes, let's take that. So what did they upgrade? They upgraded Burly Blow, Toe Stub, and 1 of my strikes. But then I gained Flawed. We're going to go here, and we fight a Slaver, so absolutely fuck them. We are going to swap to our best friend. We're going to gain 2 blocks worth, or 2 defense worth of blocks, so we are not going to lose health. And then we're going to play our Strike Plus and a normal strike. So that's 17 damage, and they've gained 2 weak. Enemy's going to attack me and weaken me. So everybody's weak. But now I can attack. Now I apply that, and because they had 3 or more weak, I gain block. They were doing 10. So I can play Flawed and it won't apply to these, but if I play Bulk Up, the only one it's going to apply to is Defend, and that's fine. So the Defend goes away and it becomes a Void, but only for this fight. Now the enemy has 16 health left. I'm going to do extra damage to weakened enemies. So I do 10 and then another 10, and we're good. So convert your block into temporary HP. Pretaliation. Not retaliation, pretaliation. Deal 20 damage if the enemy intends to attack. Deal 5 damage otherwise. Yeah, absolutely fuck slavers, no matter who I'm playing. Like, role-playing will go out the window if somehow I'm playing someone who is not always already going to want to destroy slavers. I'm going to Glimmer here because I'm a bit worried about my defense. Now I can heal 5 hit points on this friend. I wonder if it'll be 5 per character or just 5 on this Gremlin. I think it's worthwhile. So just 5 on this Gremlin. Right? 5, 15. I guess that was max hit points. Question mark? I guess maybe that didn't update because I'm at 12, not 7. It does look like a trap. So, Wandering Adventures, set a trap, lose a strike. Interesting. Yeah. That lets me eliminate one of my normal trap, my normal strike cards, because I have these other attacks that are going to do more for me. All right, let's switch to this friend here. And we're going to do 9 damage there, which makes the enemy weak. And we have 3 energy left, and we're going to take 13. So if I defend, I'll definitely want to defend unless I think I can. So if I do Burly Blow, it will defeat this enemy. But then I will play that. Just trying to think if there are better plays. So I can do 1 attack here and then 8 there. No. So we do this, and then we defend. We're going to take 5, which is a bummer. You don't have any money. All we have is souls. So this little looter is not going to get to steal that from us. So I hit them with the Gremlin Dance, so they lose strength. And then I hit them with Strike. And then I hit them with Mockery, and that gives them the 3rd weak, so I do gain the block, which is great. Because otherwise, 6 damage would be almost enough to KO my happy little friend. So now they're just defending because they're going to get ready to run away. I can play this to get rid of it, and then deal damage. I'm going to do this hoping to get a Shiv, which I don't. And then I guess I'll just play this to gain the temp HP. And we'll do these to get them out of my hand. You're going to die today, chump. Oh, okay, they're not running away. So we're going to do... okay, so I want to do Toe Stub first because it will apply Vulnerable. So if I do 1, 2, 3, and then I will get the 2 wards. Okay, great. So now this 9 becomes 12. Now they're vulnerable. I do 7 damage, and I get my wards. And then I do Pinprick, which deals 7 damage because of the extra here, because they're weak, and I'm not going to take any health, even to my temp. Yeah. I took 1 to my temp health, but that's fine. You have 15 left. 1 strike does them in, but I will let my friend be cool and bulky and smoosh. Good friend. More souls. And temporary strength. Another Toe Stub. Or steal all artifact, deal damage. I'm at 20 cards. Usually I try to stay between 20 and 25 to increase my chances of consistency, getting the type of cards that I want when I want them, or when I need them. I might take Flex because it is free. So Artifact is a status. If you have Artifact and you receive a debuff, instead you lose Artifact and you don't take the debuff. There are certain types of enemies that start fights with 1 to 3 Artifact, which can be handy, but I don't know that this is good enough for the type of deck we're doing. I can also always skip if I don't want to take something, but I am going to go ahead and take Flex because I like Flex. And Flex is really good for all of my little low damage cards. Right. So this is the Defect, who is one of the hero classes in Slay the Spire. And because we're doing Downfall, they are the boss for this area. So every turn they get cards too. And the Defect is an energy thief. Whenever the Defect generates a void, it goes to the top of your draw pile. Normally void would go to their draw pile. So they right now have 1 buffer, which means prevent the next time you would lose HP. And they're going to gain another buffer. They don't get to use this, because it's grayed out, and then they're going to gain 1 frail. Which means we're not getting attacked right now, and therefore I can build up other things. So I don't have anything that will let me switch out. That's damage. These do 5 each. And then that's 10. And then I'm going to play Icky, because here's the secondary version, Slimed, which I can play and just get out of my deck entirely. Yeah, they have a ton of HP. But again, they are defending. However, they are going to add a void to my draw pile when they do this, and they're going to have more block for the turn after. So we're going to gain temporary strength. We're going to do extra damage to enemies that are weak. And we're going to do that right away. And we're just going to gain a bunch of that because the enemy is not weak right now, and the burly blow wouldn't do a whole lot. So what we've done is we've gained, we have target wounds so that weakened enemies are going to take more. And yeah, that's that for now. So the void goes in our deck, which is bad. And now they have some block. Okay, here's a big hit. So they're going to come at us for 24 damage, which is a lot. But we do have at least one block. And this would give us Artifact, but that's not going to do a lot right now. I'm going to play Flawed to make it go away. And then I'm going to play, let's see. If I defending is not going to do anything for me here because they're going to do 24 damage. I have 16 health. The damage does not spill over on other characters. So instead, my little shield gremlin is going to be Valiant and do a toe stub. So, shield gremlin is now down, and I have the other 4 remaining. I'm going to do 6 and then 11. So we're going to switch to this friend here. And we have one energy left. But now I can switch to this gremlin who has 16, gain 5 block. He will not get KO'd, and he will give us bonus strength because he's angry. So, any gremlin that survives the boss fight will go back to all of their health, but I will have to rest to get the shield gremlin back. Alright, so we're going to do Glimmer, which will let us get some wards against that damage that we're coming in. So they don't have any weak, so we're going to do the Pin Needle, and then we're going to do another 11. I'm going to take 4 to him this turn, unfortunately. And that Shame, giving him Frail, should get rid of the artifact. So this is a Dark Orb. Every turn, it's going to gather 6 damage, and then if it's ever evoked, it's going to do however much damage it's gathered to the to me. So we did that. You don't have any block. I'm going to make you weak, and then I'm going to make you vulnerable, and then I'm going to hit you a couple of times. But I don't have any block, so this gremlin is also going to go down. So I might win this boss fight, but then I will be in a bad situation in the next area because I'll have several gremlins unconscious. Alright, we don't have a lot of options, so we're going to attack and get some defense. 6 damage, however, we can deal with. So we're going to switch to the Gremlin Wizard, because then when we use a skill, we're going to gain a whiz. And now we're going to take 6 against 5 temp HP, so we'll lose 1. Not looking absolutely great for our people. So we're going to have to defend against 10. I'm going to gain temporary strength. We're going to do pinpricks that will make the enemy weak. I'm going to make you lose strength and do 12 more damage. And now you have less strength and I have more block, so I'm going to take only 1 more damage. If I gain 1 more whiz, we'll get that extra bang of attack. Now they're going to attack for 18, which is a lot. So I could play all 3 of these. Let's grab these and see what they give us. So you're weak again. I'm going to gain block. I'm going to gain more block. I'm going to get 10 HP. That's 13 against 18, which is exactly too little for my Gremlin to survive the hit. Now I'm down to my Wizard and my Sneaky Gremlin. So the enemy has 3 stacks of weak. So I might as well just go all out. They've got 1 health left and they're going to do 4 damage. So it looks like I will win the boss fight, but be very hampered for the future. So that's the defect down, with my 2 little Gremlins remaining. So Resurrected Gremlin would be great. I probably need to take this. Stacking this up would be great, but I don't know that my weak meta is doing enough. So we're gonna take Necromancy. Let's see, yeah, 3 Gremlins down. We get a boss relic. So this one says elites drop an additional relic when defeated. So I got this from an elite. The Busted Crown, you gain an energy at the start of your turn, every turn, but future card rewards, so when I get cards to draft, have 2 fewer cards to choose from, so I'd only get 1 each time. Or the Mob Leader's Crown replaces the Mob Leader's Staff. The first time you shuffle your draw pile each turn, gain 1 energy, draw 1 card, and swap to the next Gremlin. So that's up to once each turn, versus at the start of each combat. Draw pile is 22. I actually think I like the opening bonus more. So let's say that elites will drop an extra relic. Do I get... Okay, so all of them that were conscious were fully healed, and one of my KO'd Gremlins was returned with full health, the fat Gremlin. So that makes the Necromancy a little bit less essential. It means I can probably keep doing this run rather than giving up. I will try to take it as far as I can, unless it lasts longer than I want to be streaming. So I want to go to this shop because look at all this money we have, and money doesn't do much good. Souls don't make more souls in this game, so we're going to go over here and then go to that shop. So I don't need to heal my other Gremlins, but I do need one of them to come back. So now Shield Gremlin is back at 8. So I could obtain the skull that says, at the start of each combat you may wish for souls, success, or a pick-me-up, but all Gremlins lose 2 HP. I've never done this skull. I don't know what it does. I'm curious. We're streaming. Even if losing 2 HP is bad, let's get the skull. Hey, hands off the noggin! Ignoring the skull's complaints, you snatch it from the pedestal, momentarily scorched by its flames. Perhaps it will come in handy later. Yeah, so the one that's KO'd doesn't lose health. That's good. Let's see what the skull does. What does it mean? So, spend HP to wish for souls, success, or a pick-me-up. Lose HP, gain a potion. Lose HP, get a random colorless card. Lose HP, gain souls. So, let's get a colorless card. Hey, healing is good. Because I can switch to another Gremlin and then heal. But first... let's gain Whiz. Then let's go here, because I can attack and make you lose strength, so that now I'm not going to lose health. I'm at 14 of 16. This is 4 HP. I want to use this on the Shield Gremlin if I can. So instead, I'm going to attack you there. And now I'm not taking damage. Okay, so I can deal extra damage to wounded enemies. I can gain strength. And you're already weak, so you become vulnerable. And then I'm going to... Yeah, I want to go ahead and attack you. And I'm going to play these wards so that they don't fill up my deck later on. So I don't have to use the Knowing Skull in a given fight. It's just there as a card, as an option, which is good. So I'm going to use this so that I don't get the terribleness. I'm going to apply weak, but then we get the block. 3 weak, is that enough to switch to somebody else? Yes, let's say that it is. Let's switch to Shield Gremlin, who does not need to block more. Because then if I draw the bandage, I can heal this Shield Gremlin. I also have Necromancy. I don't have 3 Whiz, but I can get to 3 Whiz with 1 block. Why don't I have 3 Whiz? Okay, that's strange. I'm gonna do this so that now I get more block and I'm fine. That's basically the whole potion use. And I do not have enough. So I can either prolong the fight long enough to do Necromancy, which I may want to do, or I can wait until the next fight. This enemy, I think, will do things to gain strength or something. I'll hit you for 12, and then I'm just gonna chill. Because I want to heal and or resurrect. Oh right, because Shield Gremlin doesn't gain Whiz, only the Gremlin Wizard does, that's why. Am I gaining Whiz every turn? Did I use that? Okay. Why do I only have 1 Whiz then? Block, block. Switch to you, then switch to the Gremlin Wizard. Okay, that's fine. 16 against 16. I'm just trying to stall out the fight so that I can use Necromancy. So I use 1 there. I consume my Whiz to bring one of my Gremlins back. 13 damage. I'm going to have to go ahead and kill the enemy, even though I wanted to wait and use Bandage. So the Gremlin Toss says gain 3 temporary HP, and then deal damage equal to your current block and temporary HP. So this is fun. It may not be optimal, but again, we're streaming. I'm showing off what's fun. I'm trying to goof around. So we're going to fight the Merchant again. So 5 HP for a potion, 1 for souls, or 1 for, let's do 3 HP for souls, because then we can use a bandage, and that will let us buy more things. We're going to hit you with a pin needle. Then we're going to hit you with the Gremlin Dance. I don't have the Whiz for that. You don't have weak. So I'm going to use Icky, and then hit you with a Strike, which will do extra because you're the sneaky Gremlin. I can return a card from my discard pile, and it will cost 0 this turn, but I'm going to wait on a stronger card for that. So now they're attacking for 15. And we're going to Pinprick, which will give us an extra draw. 1, 2 draw. They don't have enough weak, but we could... What could we bring back? We could bring back up a Defend, which would let us take 0 damage. Honestly, that's worth it. Because they have 0 weak. So other characters losing and gaining a little bit of a few hit points is not as big of a deal, but because the total hit points are split up amongst all these different characters, you have to think a lot more about taking even a little bit of damage, which I like. It's annoying, but it's a fun thing to have to think about more. Genuinely. So we're going to do this. We're going to go over to our friend here. We're going to gain temp HP and then attack. And they become weakened. Now they're going to steal some souls like a jerk. That also makes them slightly stronger. And then they're going to run away. So I'm going to do that. We're going to hit them and make them vulnerable. Then we're going to hope for some shivs. And we're going to switch to you, who do extra damage. And then we're going to attack for that bonus. I've used the ward just to thwart the flawed. Yeah, interesting dynamic. All of the boss characters that you can play as in this game have their own unique mechanics that I think are really cool, which is and that's part of why I'm excited about this and wanted to stream it. Game block. If you have more gain wards. Right, I'm going to do this to pump up my whiz capacity. So we're going to spend souls here, which means the mob bank is going to go away. That's all right. I'm going to get rid of flawed because it's the most annoying to deal with, and now the mob bank is grayed out. So you get fossilized helix and prevent the first time you would lose HP each combat. Very important for the gremlins because they are so squishy. So, or upon pickup, choose an attack. Start each combat with this card in your hand. So I could start every fight with Toe Stub or with Gremlin Dance. But instead, I'm going to take the Fossilized Helix. And then I'm going to look at my deck and say, is there one card in here that having a second copy of would make a big difference? Because I could get that in the mirror. Necromancy, I think, is too specialized. Gremlin Toss is handy because it gives temp HP and it's an attack. Bulk Up would give, temper HP is defense, more or less. Adding a tag team would be great for the versatility, though not as great for offense or defense. With 161, I could also buy other things. I could get some potions. Vigor means that your next attack does extra damage. I could swap to a random gremlin. That's just weird. We're at 23 cards, 4 blocks. Yeah, I'm going to take this Change-O because it gives defense. If I do Polish, shivs do 2 extra damage and wards grant 2 extra block, since I have things that will give me shivs and wards. Gremlin Arms. And is that it? No, because I get pinpricks. I get 2 wards from Glimmer. Is that enough? They seem to come up pretty often. I could go for Retaliation. It's 2 energy for 5 damage. Or 20 if the enemy intends to attack, which, the 20 is why you're thinking of why one would think about it. 113 left. So because I don't have any of these to break, so I could save souls if I wanted to break one of the keys, but I don't have any extra because I've already broken this one. Let's go ahead and take Polish and move on. So, spent lots of souls. This Fossilized Helix will try to get as much as we can out. Our deck is pretty good, but 5 HP is a big deal in this game. So all of our gremlins are up, but we could heal every gremlin for 30% of your max HP. So every one of them gains 4. So I would get the full use of that out of 3 gremlins, and I would get 2 on the fat gremlin and 3 on the gremlin wizard. I could alternatively upgrade cards, and upgrading cards is really handy because the upgraded version is more powerful. Let's look at what's ahead. So if I go this way, I can face an elite and then several more fights. My deck is pretty full. Fighting enemies gives you souls that you can then spend. Okay, the only one I can recover is the red, right? Because blue is tied to items and green is tied to monsters, or the elites. I will get another... I have more chances to rest, so let's be bold and take an upgrade. So that's 5 extra damage to wounded enemies for 7 temp HP. Mockery is 2 weak, so that would reduce the amount of weak that I needed to have on an enemy already to be able to get the block. That's pretty good. Upgraded pinpricks duplicate themselves. Upgraded flex is 4 temporary strength. This resurrects a gremlin with 13 HP instead of 10. This increases the upgrade. This is just base damage goes up on the Gremlin Dance upgrade. That's not huge. Innate on this is pretty good, especially because we're doing some more stuff with Wiz. Let's go ahead and do that upgrade. So, for each curse in your deck, start with 1 strength. I have 1 curse in my deck. So I could always have 1 strength, or I could get the Sapphire Key, which is what I'm going to do. And so if we go this way, we get another shop, but we don't have many souls right now. So we're going to go this way and have a lot of fights. This is very rough. I'm glad that well, I have some better stuff. I don't know that this will be enough. Special card or a potion. I don't know that any of that is worth it. So we're going to do some damage here to get wards. Luckily we are shield gremlin to start. 17 is enough to almost block you because then I have the buffer. So we're going to do this to gain the whiz, and then we're going to do that. So we have 20, which is just barely not enough to kind of avoid taking this one. So I think we should go ahead and use this just in case. Cool. So for 1 HP instead, we got the extra block, which means we can defend, and then any leftover from here will get blocked by the fossilized helix. Oh no! The fossilized helix took that hit. The first time you would lose HP each combat. Womp womp. So I'll still take some on the shield front here. Oh no, okay, it doesn't count. The buffer did not get used up. But again, they're doing so much damage. Alright, so 21 is almost enough for all of this. And we're going to go ahead and use this artifact to prevent one of these debuffs that they're doing. So, from what I've seen, the Whiz Bang build on the Wizard Gremlin Wizard, is stronger than the weak, the Exploiting Weak build with the Fat Gremlin. Or I've just had bad luck. So we're going to flex, we're going to switch to this friend, we're going to block, we're going to hit you, 3, 7, 8, so 10, and then 8 damage to you. We're going to switch to him because it makes him very angry when people attack him. but now he's at 2. We do have Necromancy, however. And we have other things that will give us whiz, so that's great. So we're going to hit you so that you're out. And then 10 damage. Eight block is just enough to get KO'd. But you did get the shield friend back. A game where I have to be like building up whiz to use necromancy to kind of pick my gremlins back up is an interesting thing. Oh, this sucks. So this enemy made it so that I cannot attack this turn at all. So I can give you weak, and then I can use my polish, but I'm just going to take this 13, and the wizard gremlin is going to be out. And I'm back down to 3 again. This elite turned out to be very bad for us. Pinprick. Block. Wards. Dear goodness, these wards. Weak for you. 24 against 18. Not fantastical for our little gremlin squad. This is looking better. So, we're going to switch to this friend. We're going to make them weak and therefore vulnerable. And we're going to do some damage to you and draw a card that makes you more weak. So, the Gremlin Arms is random. This takes me up to 8 temp HP and would do 13 damage, but that's not enough to take this enemy out. So I'm going to hope for... Ward is more temp HP. Could have hit this one to make them weak, and that would save me some damage. So I'm going to take 6 here, right? This enemy is very close to being down, and then this one enemy on their own is much easier to deal with, thankfully. Here. And here. Nope, that did that wrong. So we're going to switch to Sneaky Gremlin and take a hit. There was a different way to do that, where I could get rid of that enemy and block with the Shield Gremlin. I just did not do it. Well, that keeps you from dying. And you attack. I need to figure out, I need to get away, I wonder if, no, because that, I don't think that upgraded necromancy stops exhausting. That would probably be too powerful. Block, whiz, more block, big hit. This is one of the rougher elites because 3 enemies in one fight is just a lot of different sources of bad. Temporary strength. This is 3 damage 3 times. They have 8 health. We made it, just barely. So this gives discounts at the merchant. This raises all gremlins max HP by 2, including the ones that are KO'd. And we're going to skip that. I'm going to go down this path, hoping for extra rest spots. Higher max HP, very good. So I could fight this enemy and gain many things, or I could just leave. I'm just kind of trying to crawl my way to a rest spot. So, buffer is not going to be as good against these enemies because they attack a bunch of times for a little bit. But if I can get to this friend here I can make the enemies weak, which will be really powerful. But I don't have nothing here will let me switch. So 1 block. Temporary strength. And this will get me the rest of the way on defense to not take damage. And then let's just go ahead and do all of our buffs. This keeps the buffer in play for next time. We still have 2 temporary hit points left. So this enemy made themselves stronger, which is why they hit for 2 each time of the 5 total times. And because they're flying, they take 50% less attack damage, which is tricky. So I can make this enemy weak and they go to 0 damage, which saves me 5 damage all at once. I'm gonna hit you, and I'm gonna hit you again. And that's 10 against 10 damage. Caw-caw! And my buffer is still there, thankfully. So this enemy's now going to hit just for 13 damage, not multiples. So 1 whiz gives me enough for the special attack. So what I can do here is I can take you out, and this 13 is just going to go against my, it's going to take out my buffer. And now this enemy is going to gain strength. Yep. So 20 damage coming at me potentially. We're gonna, let's see, shield. Okay, I should use these now to get a bunch of block. And then we're going to switch to this friend. And we're going to attack each of these enemies once to make them weak and reduce the amount of damage that they're going to do. This, we don't have the whiz to do necromancy if we have the energy. And bang is really meant to be used when you have the full whiz, which I don't. This would let me do extra... would let me do a lot of weak to somebody, which is probably worth it. Whenever you play an attack, I don't think that worked right. Because it's a fan mod, it's coded by people who may not be professionals. And sometimes things don't work, or they don't work the way that I thought they did, because it's different people with different design assumptions. Alright, so that's 10, or that's 3 whiz. And that's enough for all the defense that I need. So we're just going to go after this enemy, who is trying to get stronger again, which I really would rather not. The kind of swingy build here has meant that things are much more challenging, which is fun, especially for a stream. So I can attack them, and they lose strength, so that now they're not doing any damage. And I can make them weak and therefore vulnerable. And then I attack you here. And I think I'm going to stay with this Gremlin because I have so much stuff that procs off of weak. So they are knocked out of flight, which means they don't get the flight protection. So defense there, defense here, 13. So We're going to do that to take you out. I have 1 energy left, so I can do 8 damage here, but this also gives me temp HP, which will last beyond this turn. So very slow and steady type of fight here. We have 1 whiz. We can gain some strength, and then we defend. We don't have the whiz for that, so we can just do this, but we will take damage from this twice stronger bird with a Y. But now we weak, and then we hit them twice with that. Now they're 3 times stronger. And I have 3 whiz, which means next turn get a bang does not do what I need it to. So, defeated. None of this is what I'm looking for. Thank goodness, a rest spot. So we really have to rest here if we have any chance of proceeding. So I can go this way, normal fight, rest spot, normal fight, which I think is really I have to do if I'm going to have a chance of beating this boss. I like fighting elites when I can, especially because I'm getting more bonuses, but we're so hard up right now. And we get that. Yeah, let's draw, just in case we're getting something else that's interesting. Nope. Gain the temporary hit points and do some damage. The skull, I think I will just let go this time. I was very curious about the skull, because I don't think I'd ever taken it before. I would not take it again if I could go back and make that choice. What it has done is I have learned what it does, and I have become sad. Right, so we're going to go to Shield Gremlin for all of that defense, and attack a bunch. So we will lose 2 of our temporary hit points. Hey Oniga, I'm TW. I'm guessing the learning but being sad thing is what you're saying happens. Welcome to the chat. Good to see you. Right, we can get more temp HP. We already have the whiz we need for bang. We're not going to be able to kill you, so we do need some block. So let's get the extra block there. Let's do weak. And you have 13. Is this going to be enough? Yeah. Better than nothing. That will take our buffer. Okay, let's see if I can get rid of this enemy here. So, pinprick on you. Pinprick will do more damage. No, I don't have the do more damage yet, because this is still just 2, unfortunately. So I'm gonna hit you. We'll hit you once. Weak and vulnerable. Weak and vulnerable. So we make you weak, and therefore we get to make you vulnerable, and you're gonna do less damage. Right. Let's make you weak if we can. Ward is still good. Dying is not recommended. So you have 0 weak. I do want to give you 1 weak, but I will not get the block. So let's go ahead and do that, which minimizes the damage we will take, or reduces. Don't know if that's minimized. We have 1 left. Shield Gremlin. Let me do that. Let me do this. We will not take damage. If I had done that a little bit differently, I might have been able to give them another week, which would be good. So that's 13 block. 14 damage. We have one whiz. Enemy has no weak. Much of this feels like delaying the inevitable, unfortunately. Alright, so block, block, strike. And then you go down. My Gremlin friends, one by one, you're being defeated by the Spheric Guardian. Because I tried to do interesting things with your deck, and I was met with devastation. Let's get some more block. Pick somebody up. So, Fat Gremlin and Gremlin Wizard is still down. So a lot of our weak stuff is not gonna work very well. Oh no, the Snecko! So Snecko is actually another one of the characters that you can play as, which I think is what I'm gonna do next, if and when these folks are defeated. I'm just gonna do all of this, and then we're gonna mock you and do an attack. So the Snecko gives me confused, which then randomizes the cost of my cards in my deck. So stuff that's normally cheap becomes expensive, stuff that's expensive becomes cheap. So I do that normal thing. Using a skill here will get me some block, which is better than nothing. We'll go to you, and then we'll do some damage. We'll take a little bit of damage and get temporary strength. Alright, so Necromancy costs 3, and I don't have the Whiz. I do have the Whiz now, but I don't have the energy, so we're going to do that, and then we're just going to keep on getting wrecked. So this is just temporary HP because we don't have that Gremlin awake right now. 3 damage, some defense. Some block, some damage. I should have done the icky. Ooh, multiple brownouts is... One brownouts is bad. Multiple is very bad. Alright, so I can only use one of these because everything here costs 3. Let's do that because wards will be very good. Alright, so we have the Whiz for Necromancy, which is good. And then let's do this. Get a little bit of block, a little bit of damage. Get rid of Icky. So we're just basically trading Gremlins at this point. It's a block and an attack. Temp HP is good. Had to reboot the modem, but the everything else is okay. Well, yeah, not having tech fried is very nice in terms of being able to do the things you need to do in the day. Hello, Sneezy boy. You good? Sleepy! Back to sleep now. Nope, none of that. Can we get through this fight to fight the boss that we will probably lose to? Alright, block. All of the block, please. Lots of block, thank you. And let's make... that saves us 5 damage. Ooh, so much strength. You're gonna regret that, birdie. Very few attacks, but 21 damage to everybody. It's pretty good. Shield Gremlin's the only one around. Do that. You have enough block, so we're just gonna trade that out. But now every time we play a non-attack card, we're going to get a dazed in our draw pile, which is very not good. And this is just shivs. So we're going to lose that buffer. Two damage is perfectly enough for you, which is great. You don't have things that give weak, so that doesn't matter so much. We're just gonna attack. So we'll take 7 on the shield gremlin. Flex for some strength. Do some damage there. Need to block. Need to block more. Do lots of damage. Even though the necromancy will probably be in the next draw. And we won't be able to use it because we don't have the whiz for it. Yep. We have 0 whiz. So we do 1 damage 3 times. Take that. And then we get wrecked. Then only the angriest of gremlins remained. To become more angrier. And damage. So yeah, just this one little guy against the boss is gonna be very funny. And by funny, I mean it will not last long. And we survived! Good job. You made it. That's not bad. Okay, so the Hermit is a fan-created character, not one of the base characters. And they have this thing where if a card ends up in the middle, they will get special bonuses from it. Let's make you weak. Let's go and block. Let's hit you. Potion. Might resurrect a gremlin, maybe. Probably not. So I expect that we will not win this boss fight, and then I will take a short break and come back and at least start a run with another character. Do not have that much whiz. Attack and gain wards. Think, think. So... attack. Bonuses. So this character is also a bit random because every time you attack, it discards the leftmost card here, so I want to attack at least once. But then cards come onto their play, they come into their hand. Attack for 9, attack for 6, defend, but then attack for 14. Block, block, bulk up, swap does nothing. Like the kind of dramatic boss music here. So much damage. Pinprick is good. 20 damage there. Gain a bunch of block. And rugged. Next two times you take unblocked attack damage, reduce it to 3, not by 3. Some strength. Swap does nothing. Temp HP. Hit you with a couple of pinpricks. Hit you with that. Defend. And, okay. One whiz. Double wards is very nice. So having all these bonus strengths is doing a lot, but I still don't have a ton of faith in our ability to... Ooh, yeah, that's gonna do us. I don't have a way to attack twice. Womp womp. Defeated. So, Hermit did us in. A nap sounds good. All of my little gremlin friends are KO'd. So, every time you complete a run, you get points based on what you've done. When you basically fill the progress bar, the score bar, you unlock more cards for certain characters. 20. So there's a Gremlin knob, which is like a bigger, beefier one. That's very interesting. Curious. So unforgiving means that the mad gremlin's strength bonuses don't go away. That's pretty cool. But that takes us back to here. And I'm going to... we get the big guitar. I'm going to go to break, use the restroom, maybe take the dog downstairs so that he can get water if he wants to. And then I'll be back with some more Slay the Spire Downfall. See you in a minute. And we're back as the thing comes back. It'll just take a moment to remember to be its thing. Yeah, it usually takes a little while to load, but then it's fine. I saw that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has been confirmed to the Supreme Court, which is very good. By all accounts, she's like the most qualified person to be nominated to the court in decades, possibly ever, in terms of breadth and depth of experience. And there will now be a someone who with public defender experience on the Supreme Court, which I think is also a good idea, because if your court is all prosecutors, that constrains the perspectives that maybe come onto the court in a way that could, I don't know, go bad. So we just need like three, so we have three kind of moderate liberals on the court, and we have 6 hardcore conservatives. So now we need like 6 hardcore leftists, right? Like 3, maybe 3, start with 3 leftists. So like an anarchist, a anarcho-communist, and like a left communist, like hardcore democratic, anti-authoritarian communist. Or maybe like trade out one of the anarchists for a democratic socialist. I'm not too picky, but the court needs to be rebalanced, because 6/9 of the country are not hardcore evangelical corporatist GOP operatives, the way that 6 out of the 9 people on the Supreme Court of the U.S. right now are far-right, extreme GOP operatives. But anyway, let's play a game about being the bad guy. Woo! The world is a scary place. So this is the Snecko. I fought against a Snecko. They are not a boss. They're I don't remember if they're an elite or their normal fight, but the Snecko's bit is that they have off-class cards. So they can have cards from other character classes, and they have a bunch of other stuff that makes things randomized, which is really cool. Let's let cards be Hermit. Let cards be Hexaghost. Hermit and Hexaghost and Silent and Ironclad. Sure. I don't think I've done those before so much. So we are to slay intruders. Right now we have 3 strikes, 4 defends, a tail whip, a Sneck bite, and 2 unidentified cards that will be from cards from different decks, like I selected, which is very fun and weird. And so now we get a bonus. Enemies in your next 3 combats flee in terror, means I don't have to do those fights. Can I get to an elite in 3 fights? Maybe. 1 fight, 2 fights, 3 fights. Let's see. Because making an elite flee in terror would be amazing, because we would get the benefit for beating them without having to fight them. Upgrade a card in your deck. Let's go ahead and get the ruby key, because I don't know that upgrading just yet is going to be as powerful as being able to break the ruby key and get that strength. So first enemy fled in terror. So some of the Sneck's attacks do they do random damage between a range. So 3 to 8 damage and 3 to 8 block on Iron Fang. Gain 8 block, Ram, Improvised Guard. I have the Tail Whip. Let's go ahead and take that. We're going to go here and hope to not get a fight. You walk into a room to find a large hole in the ground. As you approach the hole, an enormous serpent creature appears from within. Oh, hello, hello, hello. What have we got here? To you, my overlord, I ask a simple question. The most fulfilling of lives is that in which you can punch anything. Do you agree? I would agree by punching them. And I would gain souls, but I would become cursed with doubt. The Sneck punches. Just imagine that the serpent is a Nazi, and then punching Nazis is easy. The serpent rears its head and cries an awful scream. As its body goes limp and falls into the pit, the life force of the creature becomes readily available for harvesting. Nom 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 nom. It is awe-inspiring, but you can't help but wonder if the serpent was speaking metaphorically. Perhaps it is intended to aid and encourage you to do violence on others, but not itself. Well, too late now. Alright, so we can heal, which we don't need to. We could get max HP, or we could get a relic, but we would become cursed. This curse, I think, is bad for the Sneck because the Sneck's cards get randomized in cost often, so I'm more likely to have cards left in my hand. So I'm going to go for the max HP bonus. Now we're here. This is fight number 2, so the merchant is just going to run away. I don't get to do damage, but I don't have to deal with the fight. Unknown vulnerable card. Interesting. Yeah, let's do that. An unidentified card that deals with vulnerable. So now we are at the shop and we can do things. Loaded die. Cards that choose random numbers have +1 minimum. So Tail Whip would be always a minimum of 1 weak and 1 vulnerable, which is pretty cool. Let's take that, and then let's remove a card, that Doubt. And now we have 42 left, which means we could get the Master Eye, but I don't actually like that ability, so we're just gonna leave. But now we have 1 more charge, and so the Lagavulin is just gonna run away, and we're gonna get victory. Hey, thanks so much for the follow, the Master DS. Welcome. Happy to see you. Captain's Wheel. At the start of your 3rd turn, gain 18 block, and Armorer's Tincture. Gain 4 block each time you play a card this turn, and we get to draw, add a card. Snake Rake is pretty good. Let's see, so that looks like Waluigi thumbs up, the Mass 157. I'm not familiar with that streamer, but very glad to see you, the Master DS. Thanks for coming. Muddle your hand. Let's go with the Snake Rake. I like that one. Okay, that's your own emote. Got it. And souls, bottle lightning. We could start every fight with a skill. Interesting. I think I will take the key instead. So we could, I'll read the text. You come across a dead adventurer on the floor. His spirit still lingers in the area. Also, it looks as he's been gouged and trampled by a horned beast. A soul harvesting ritual could yield results here, but whatever creature slew this man may return soon. Yeah, let's get some souls. Continue channeling. Your magic causes the body to twitch and shake, and from its pockets falls a relic. Continue challenging. So I've gotten a thread of needle. Absolutely let's channel. So I got a bunch of souls, and the enemy didn't show up. And I got this thread and needle, so that's like an optimal result. Very cool. So we have 2 different things that give us some bonus block, which is cool. Match and keep. A gremlin is energetically shuffling cards on a table. This monster seems to be a harmless one. As you approach, he nervously breaks his composure for a moment, but finds the courage to address you. 12 cards, match them to keep them. 5 tries, no do-overs. Are you ready? Let's start. Intimidate, immediately steal 6 cards. Let's try that. Immediately the gremlin shouts, "Knob!" A lumbering gremlin emerges from the shadows, towering over the gremlin, the table, and you. Are you sure you don't want to play the game? The gremlin asks. So we could fight the knob and gain 6 cards, or we play the game. I've never done the fight thing, so let's do that. All right, so that's a gremlin knob and a little fat gremlin, which we remember from our previous run. So this gremlin will probably make us weak. And this is an elite. So that's fun. All right, I'm gonna attack you, and Oh, I made the bash more expensive. Not great, but that gremlin is out, and I hit you once. This will go back to its normal cost next time. Fat gremlin with a monocle. Yeah, it's the gamer gremlin. Fat gremlin is a gamer. What an icon. So Seer is from the Hexaghost deck. Ethereal means that if I don't play it this turn, this card will get exhausted, and I won't be able to play this battle. Afterlife says when this card is exhausted, its effects activate. So I don't have to play it, but it would still do that soul burn, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, now every time I play a skill, this enemy is going to gain 2 strength. But I don't want to take a bunch of damage, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I will play a power. It's going to mean I take a lot of damage, so I'm going to play the power through. Unfortunately, I've given them a bunch of extra strength, but now I'm going to attack. And when this exhausts, it will still do its thing, and I won't have to give the enemy bonus strength. So in 3 turns, or 2 more turns, the enemy is going to lose 10 HP. So I'm still vulnerable, but I have extra energy. So I'm going to Tail Whip, and I've made the enemy weak, which means they don't do as much damage. I'm going to attack them. 20 against 18. That's fine. I don't want to give you extra strength. Plus I have that plated armor, so I didn't take any damage. Now they're still weak. I'm not vulnerable anymore. I'm going to Snake Rake. The strike becomes free, which is beautiful. I'm going to attack again. And then I'm going to do Improvised Guard. So I'm only going to take 1 damage here. Hoping that I can do the 23 damage this turn. They're only doing 18 now, which is not so bad. I do Bash, which makes them vulnerable. And then I do 9, and the Snake Bite will finish them off. And now I will get all 6 cards. So this is the Gremlin sack. Upon pickup, add the following cards to your deck. Starter, Fatal Desire. Common, some kind of block. Uncommon, Rain of Dice. Rare, Exotic Form. Colorless, Good Instincts. And Curse, Haunted. Souls, Liquid. Let's take this and see that. Interesting. We do have the die, so this is always going to be a little bit more block. I'm going to go ahead and take the dice block. So we got a bunch of cards. Let's go look at our now much expanded deck. So Fatal Desire. At the start of your turn, draw 2 cards and add an injury to your hand. So lots of extra draw. When drawn, add Ethereal to all cards in your hand. We get Exotic Form, we get Good Instincts, we get the Rain of Dice, we get an unidentified block card. So our deck is now all, instantly up to 21 cards, and we have some cool, weird, random stuff, which is fun. So, injury. So this is going to be rough because these enemies are going to give me Dazed, which is going to add cards to my deck. So if I also have Fatal Desire, it's going to really be gumming things up. But more cards is very good. I'm going to do a dice block, which gives us 10. And then I'm going to do a Snake Bite on you. That goes from 1 to 2, which does nothing for me at this point. So they're the dazed cards. So I try to go for one of the enemies on the end because this sentry and that sentry do the same thing on the same turn, which means 18 attack on this turn and then 2 sets of dazed on the other ones. If I get this one down, then these 2 just alternate, which I think is a lot easier to manage. These enemies have sentry, or have artifact, unfortunately. So because of the Haunted, now all of these cards are ethereal, but part of that is not really a problem. We're going to have the Flame Barrier, and then we're going to defend, because Exotic Form is not doing a lot for me here, and this is just going to clear out one of these injury cards, and 1 strike and 1 defend, which is not too bad because I have other things that will let me fight pretty well. And I have the flame barrier, so each of these two enemies is going to take 4 damage for attacking me because I'm Bernie. And now the Captain's Wheel gives me a bunch of block, so I don't have to do any more blocking this turn. If I can get this to the middle of my hand, I will get extra block, but I don't need extra block. So instead, I'm gonna make you vulnerable, block for whatever for free just because. And then I'm gonna attack you. I have so much defense. But I'm gonna take a bunch of dazed. Yeah, have fun. Enjoy hanging out with Mur. So that for folks who are watching, Mur Lafferty is an amazing writer, podcaster, editor, and also streams, including streaming some of her podcasts. So you should toss her a follow. Maybe if she's still going when we're done, we'll go over and say hi with a raid. Good instincts for block. I'm going to do Rain of Dice, which is a fun thing. Every time I use it, it gets muddled, so it comes back with a random cost between 0 and 3. So I did a bunch of damage for not very much here. And now I've got all the defense I need. And we're going to go after you because you have lower health. All right, now that we're down to 2, we're not going to be as consistently dazed. Snake Rake, and then we're going to muddle Dice Block again, so now it is much less expensive. We're good. That stuff fades, so the injury cards are starting to add up as I get a new one every turn. So that's going to make longer fights more difficult, unless I find other ways to be able to exhaust cards, which is something to think about. Apply weak. Gain a bunch of block, do damage. But this one sentry will be down in one attack, and then I'll just have the one to deal with. So, block. Bruise. This turn, target takes 2 more damage. Interesting. Well, I could have maybe done that in a way to eliminate this enemy, but I'm still not taking more damage here. And Bruised only lasts 1 turn. Got it. Pop, Tail Whip, gets dropped in cost. Then I neutralize, then I strike. So I've got a lot of randomness going on in this deck because of the way that I drew things. Snake Rake, do that. Muddle Dice Block down to 0. And just play those. So our defense is looking pretty solid between the plated armor and our dice block and stuff like that. So yeah, look at all these injuries. They are like injuries tend to do, they add up. So the boot says whenever you would deal 4 or less unblocked attack damage, increase it to 5. So Wide Sting, I think, is a good call because I have a lot of off-class cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Upgrading Haunted probably is not great. 4, 5, 6. And let's see, so right now... Alright, so you were random. This time you were, what were you? What block card were you? I don't know that I drew you. This was Neutralize. This was Terror. I don't know what that one was. Maybe this one was Neutralize, because I had 2 basics. One of those was Neutralize and one was Snapshot, which are not especially amazing. Alright, I want to go down to this here to shop again. So I'm going to go here. Alright. I am going to break the ruby for 100 souls. I'm going to wait on identified. So at rest point, you can use your turn to lock an unidentified card into a permanent card. So when you do this, it pulls up what the unidentified cards were last time you played them, and you can then lock them into that if you want. I'm not in love with any of the ones that I got last time, so I'm going to do something else here. I'm just going to upgrade something else. Exotic form becomes 2. Fatal Desire becomes innate. Not super in love with it. Wide Sting becomes 1. That sounds pretty good. And now we do a fight. These are little louses. Remember them from last time, they get bonus block when they curl up. Block for you. Snake Rake. Haunted. Well, I'm fine letting that one go away, honestly. Sauce that for free, sure. And then all of these get deleted for the fight. And then that's going to make me weak. Yep. So I'm going to sear everybody, and that upgrades my off-class cards. So 5 and 5 is not enough, so I'm going to Leg Sweeper, which gives me block and makes the enemy weak. And then Seer is going to apply. Alright. We have a bunch of ways to do this, so we're going to do a Tail Whip because it's the most Snecko way. Ish. And Sneck Beam. Deal damage to all enemies, a number of unidentified cards in your deck. Meh. I think I'm going to skip those because we added 6 cards all at once from the Gremlin sack. So this will get applied automatically. I do want to keep my Snec Bite and one of my defends. So I'm fine letting the others go away. The Seer will apply. Because again, this enemy sleeps for a couple of turns. So I'm going to play my exotic form and wait again, or Serpent Mind. And now the enemy wakes up, or is going to wake up at the end of this turn. So I'll use Wide Open. I'm going to use Snake Rake. I'm going to use Tail Whip for free. Block for free because why not? Rain of Dice. Rain of Dice comes back as 0. Now it comes back as 2 and I can't use it anymore. I'm going to do Strike again because look at how much damage we've done. And my hope is that we can defeat them before they're able to put a lot of damage on us. So there's another Seer. We're going to do Wide Sting, which upgrades Shrug It Off. So I get 11 block from that. And that's enough so that we will be fine on defense. And then I'm going to do Strike, and the Seer will put some Soul Burn on them. But I hope to be able to defeat Lagavulin before the Soul Burn has to kick in. Yep, so there's a Rain of Dice. And we're done. Rain of Dice, amazing card. Blood Vial, at the start of each combat, heal 2 HP. I had this one time on the Gremlins, and it was beautiful. Pizzazz Potion, gain Vigor. Nah. Rotation, Dice Block. No, I feel pretty good about this deck. At least in the way that I can modify here. Fatal Desire I'm not super into. This is a short enough fight, I think it'll probably be worth it. So, attack, attack. That. Chance it becomes 0. Did not become 0. For those who are watching, if you don't know, streaming is but one of many things that I do. I'm also a co-host of the actual play show called Speculate, which is currently just a few sessions into a campaign of Girl by Moonlight by Andrew Gillis. Girl by Moonlight is a multi-genre magical girl RPG in the Forged in the Dark tradition. It's got some really fun stuff going on. We're doing the In a Maze of Dreams playset, which draws on things like Serial Experiments Lane and the movie Paprika. So it's got like weird dream magic logic and stuff like that. And our next session is this Sunday at 7 p.m. over at... The name is hard to say, so I'm going to just say it and put it in the text. Twitch.tv/rvanelleron. That's Sunday the 10th at 7 p.m. EDT. And I am also... that's my website, where the latest blog post is talking about Flights of Foundry, which is a convention I'm doing some programming at this weekend. Registration is on a donation basis, so you can register even if you do not have a whole lot of money kicking around. And I'm going to be on a few panels, including with some members of the Girl by Moonlight player group. So that will be very fun. And then you can support what I do here on Twitch, but also on patreon.com/Michael R. Underwood. Now back to defeating the merchant. That defend is not super necessary. Let's do rain of dice and see what it comes back at. 0 is great. 3 is not so great. So we have this. That's going to get us to 10. So we don't need to block. We're going to do a snapshot. Not hugely impactful here. I took over downstairs. He's not here. So we're going to do a snake rake, muddle that down, apply 1 weaken vulnerable, sure. That's not even discard. Okay, I might lock that in, because it's free. Free is good. I like the Snecko because the idea of these unknown cards means that even as you are building and honing your deck, you have some unresolved variables, but they are variables within a bounded set. This is this type of card from a small set of classes, like from 4 of the 11 or so available classes. And that means that there's some constraints on the randomness, but then there's baked in randomness in other parts of the play, like the result range on attacks and damage, how much something will cost when you muddle it, things like that. So you already have weak and vulnerable. Let's upgrade. Everything's actually in class right now. 3 there. So if I Snick Bite, it will muddle that again, which takes it down to 0. But that is all for me. 287 out of 400. That's some pretty good progress on fully defeating the merchant. Skip. All right, so now we have 236 for spending. Danger Noodle. So Danger Noodle is like a fun, silly name for snakes, right? Deal 9 damage. Repeat this for each off-class card in your hand, then exhaust those cards from your hand. Interesting. So we could upgrade random skills, we could upgrade random attacks, we could brew potions. We have full potions right now, so that's not doing me a whole lot. We have not many things are upgraded, so that might not suck. We could spend the 100 to get rid of Haunted. It's not been a huge problem so far. So I'm going to say upgraded Snake Rake and Tail Whip is very good. And Purify, let's see. I am going to take Purity because that lets me use that, what is it? Fatal Desire, because then I could let the injuries build up and then use Purity to exhaust them. I could also exhaust a randomized card that turns out to be really not useful for the fight that I'm in. Or I could exhaust Haunted. So, use that block for free. Nothing is off class, so we're just going to try to use our best cards here. And I'm going to do that. So. Enemies down to 11 health. Theoretically should not be very hard to take them out. Not very hard at all. Rain of Dice. Gain 2 random off-class cards. Weak and X cost. Thinking if anything that's like activates off of weak here. Yeah, let's go ahead and take Soul Draw. I don't know that it necessarily does a lot for us, but it'll be fun. So again, the defect, they're going to ignore that first chunk of damage. They're going to gain another stack of buffer, which lets them ignore a chunk of damage, and they have 1 artifact. So they'll ignore the first status I do to them. But let's Tail Whip. They will become vulnerable. Then I will sting them. And I get some block. They're going to get buffer again. So I'm going to do Berserk because they're not attacking this turn, and vulnerable is not going to do much to me. Exotic Form. I'm going to make them weak, but they're going to block that damage, and then I can just do a normal strike. So I'm only going to have 1 turn of vulnerable where they could be attacking, depending on what they draw this turn. So 36, being vulnerable for that Sunder is not great. I'm going to do Improvised Guard, Soulburn. I'm going to do Dice Block, but luckily this was the Captain's Wheel turn, so now we have enough block. And so I play this, and then I can come back. And I'm going to exhaust Void and block? Question mark? Yeah, because I have Good Instincts, which is free. So now there's going to be another Void because of the Energy Thief. Covet. I'm going to discard that. Cool. And we're going to this. I'm going to discard Haunted, so we don't have to deal with it. And we're going to gain off-class cards. What do the old look like? Concentrate. The next dead-on card playable Concentrate triggers regardless of position. But it's 1 energy for 10 damage. However, we're going at 17 coming in. So let's do that. It comes back as free. Might as well use it at free. This is better than anything I have. So we're going to take some damage, but normal type characters, if you beat a boss, you get all of your health back. You have to be much higher in difficulty, I think, to reduce the amount of healing that you get at the end of a level. So we're going to muddle that 2 down to 0, which is great. Block. Going to block, and then we're going to crit, which exhausts that strike, because we have other strikes that are better. Other attacks that are better. Soulburn hits, and they're going to get that dark. But their rate of chewing through orbs is really low at this level. So block. I'm going to Tail Whip. Do that. 18 against 8. So we'll take 10 more. Enemies at 32. We're probably doing okay. depending on what, on how the draws land. So 30, yeah, we can just end the fight here with the bludgeon. Kapow. We have a number of things that do vulnerable, so I might try to lock in that bludgeon. So more power says, obtain an additional upgraded identified card reward at the end of combat. Or I could just get an identified card. Let's get a rare power. So upon pickup, choose one of 3 unidentified character cards. Add 5 copies of it to your deck. All combats drop an additional card reward of the chosen character's cards. So if we didn't already have all those Gremlin sack cards, we could kind of hard push our deck toward one of the characters, and that can be handy because those cards then react to each other nicely. Instead, I'm going to take the tiny house, which is just everything gets a little bit better. A little bit of max HP, you get to draft a card, you get some souls. Lucky. Let's get rid of the thorns and get the luck. Snake sap is good. At worst, it replaces itself in energy. 169. Let's go this way because I don't have enough energy to get the most out of a... Right, max HP. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that because I want to, again, break all 3 of the keys. Good on health, so... Oh, you know what? I could identify. I could make... What happened to... Wasn't there something else that's... Play a strike or defend. No? I guess we're doing this instead. Snack proof 1 to 4. To 5. 3 random off-class cards. Innate. Snack bite, muddle the 2 highest cost cards. Interesting. Upgraded power. Go to an event. Alright, so we're going to fight the merchant anyway. I may not get to spend much, but we do have the chance to kind of try to keep burning them down. And Snake Rake. Block. Damage. Damage. Defend because we can. Poltergeist. Whenever you play an Afterlife card, deal 9 damage to a random entity. We may not get many other Afterlife cards because this was our... No, because we have at least one chance to get another Afterlife card because this is the rare power. So, this is dead on, so we get the block. Snick proof. Poison dive. So block there is good, but we can in fact do that instead. So we've done all of our block now, which means we can do the body slam for damage. Bum, bum, bum. Merchant throws money at me. So we've got a bunch of block, and now we're going to go on offense. So tail whip, which gives them vulnerable. Rain of dice comes back as 2. Not exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to exhaust the injury and a couple of basic cards. Though I think we're only going to have 1 turn after this one, right? Soul Steal, and then you leave. Yep. So we're going to do this to upgrade everything that's cross-class. We're going to do some damage there, and that is that. Down to 196. Not as impressive as the previous fight, but just fine, and we didn't take any damage. And I will pass on those, because we're at 26 cards. Is there anything that I do want here? Common attack card, silent card. So this would become 4 to 8 because of my loaded die. we'll wait those 54 most of the way toward being able to break another key. An old beggar cloaked in fur reaches his hands out toward you as you pass. Spare some coin, child? Well, I don't have souls. The beggar takes off his cloak, revealing a blue humanoid form with a glittering helm. Upon realizing just what you are, the creature's beaming grin swiftly turns to the look of pure terror. Monster! The figure shouts, turning around to flee. So I can punch to gain souls, or I can remove a card from my deck. I could remove the Haunted, which would be not bad. I think that's worth the 100 souls. Haunted is not necessarily always super bad, because sometimes I'm fine to exhaust some of these cards, but at the start of each combat, add a random power card in your hand. It costs 0 for that turn. Well, that sounds pretty cool. So we got a creepy book. Oh, we didn't go the way that will let us get the green key. Too bad. At the start of your turn, reduce the cost of the highest off-class card by 1. This is all block. Yep, this not the greatest turn. Well, that lets me get something new. Upgrade those. Terror becomes cheap. So, that's a bit better. Now you are attacking. So, we gain some 11. I'm gonna attack. Attack again for free. And block. Okay, now you're vulnerable. This is not what I'm looking for. Intangible is about blocking damage, so not super important. Snake bite. 136. Probably do a bit more damage. I'd love to be able to get this enemy down to the point where one more fight with them will let me win. Gaining block is not really relevant here. Gain 3 energy. Draw 3 cards. Whenever you end your turn with 0 energy, lose 4 HP. That doesn't... I can avoid that. Discard. Make you weak. Hit you with that. Damage. 2 damage. And then just a sneaky strike. 77 is a lot better. We took some damage because of that card, but 4 is not massive. And rare attack. Yeah, sure. 39. Again, exhaust card. Exhausting. Nah. And there's an elite. Here's these 3 jerks again. So they start with just an absolute rocking turn. So I'm going to use this Armorer's oil. So now every card I play this turn is going to get me extra block. So we're going to get an extra off-class card. We're going to get that. Dissolve. Next turn gain a bunch of block. I'm going to attack this enemy. It will mubble that down. So we're going to get a bunch of block next turn. Let's get some off-class things. Die, die, die is 14 damage to each enemy, which is great. And we have enough block to handle this Alpha Strike turn. But we are going to get some status stuff. Our wound card goes in our discard, but we don't take any health damage. So, I'm going to do a Snake Rake here. Do that. This is going to apply the Soul Burn anyway. This is going to do that one anyway. 19 damage. I'll go ahead and take that. This enemy's going to make us unable to attack next turn. So we might have to focus on defense and powers and weird skills. But we've got a lot of stuff going on. Unending Supply, Serpent Mine, Fatal Desire. Which gives us some options. Doppelganger is pretty good here. Ghost Flame at wall is great because we're getting attacked. 36 block is enough for everything that we need. We can do Purity. We're going to get rid of an injury. We're going to get rid of a normal block and a normal strike. And we have 1 energy left, but we can't attack, so let's go ahead and use that Doppelganger, which will give us a bonus for next turn. So we're going to probably get some weaks here. Another wound, and then this is just straight up damage. But all these enemies gain that soul burn. Ethereal Form. Your first 5 cards each turn cost 0. Gain no energy at the start of turn. Interesting. We've already used that. Ethereal. Alright, I'm going to do Snake Rake. It muddled Eternal Form down to 0. Sure, let's try it. Let's get a bunch of block. You can play 2 more cards for free this turn. And we still have energy. Let's go ahead and get rid of you. Give you poison. Upgrade all that. Unload is fine. Block. Very nice. So now we're down to the 0 energy, and we get to play 5 cards for free, no matter what their cost. Which is pretty cool. So, 6 damage, 14 damage, we're done. Let's draw this first in case we want to get a power. I will take a Hexed Ghost card. So, one of these powers is going to get to start in my hand. Let's have it be this rare random power, because that'll be fun and weird. Hey, thanks so much for the resub. We're now 4 months, which is basically 4 months that I've been able to have subscribers, and you've been there the whole time as a wonderful member of Team Turbo. I'm very grateful for your support and glad to have you around. Matryoshka. The next 2 non-boss chests will contain 2 relics each. Alright, so cheap stock. Yep, you have the founder badge. I think maybe it's like you and maybe Prince Justin? I know like a bunch of people bought subs in that first month because they were excited and like happy that I'd gotten affiliate, but I don't remember seeing the founder badge for a lot of folks. So it will distinguish you quite nicely within the Turbo Tango ranks in the time to come. So we're gonna do some damage to you and see if we gain energy. What am I gonna discard? Purity. And gaining Tail Whip is very good. Like that, and then the block. Oh, look at all this awesomeness. So Soul Burn for everybody. I'm not. I will be able to defeat you. Great. So Soul Burn and Death for you. Yeah, you're not going to get muddled, so I will be very glad. There's 1 or 2. Has to be first day or week. Okay. That makes sense. Like, you really want to incentivize people to subscribe early on in somebody's ability to get subs, because that like generates a hype train and helps them like build momentum. Plus that first, like the logo for the first looks very nice. Let's gain some block. Do 14 damage for each curse in hand. Interesting. Do that. It's nothing, right? Yeah, that's fine. Drive the FOMO, absolutely. Okay, and the soul burn is going to hit, but why wait? Now we have enough cards. So we're going to go here, see what we could lock in. I feel like this has been other things since then. Flame barrier is good, so we're going to lock that in. Speaking of places where flame barrier will be good. Hell yeah. These enemies attack 5 times each, so they were going to take 4 damage every time they attack. Dun, dun, dun. It's going to be hard for you to be dead on. 15. Alright, let's muddle in case it makes something free. It did make something free. Beautiful. And then I can defend again. Look at all this damage they're going to take. Burn, 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 burn. Very nice. Alright. Defend and give everybody weak. So you're not doing anything and you're doing 9. I have more than that, so I'm okay. So the Snecko, while it has all of this randomness and unpredictability, I think has a lot of strong interaction potentials. And that's very fun. So I'm going to hit you. We're going to get some more cards, hoping for something that will give Soul Burn. Well, I don't have a curse here, unfortunately. So we're going to do that damage, which is good. Block as we can. What's this? Oh, okay. That's why I'm drawing all these extra cards. That's right. Yeah, let's go and do that because it gives me an extra card. I've got 1 left, and we'll just do 7. So normally they take 50% less damage, but my boot says I always do at least 5 damage if I'm doing unblocked damage. And that's really handy against the birds. Caca! I'm stronger! Here's your problem! You're dead! Da 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 da! Alright, we don't need 2 luckies. Let's get Distilled Chaos. And we're going to skip that. Time for an elite enemy. The Gremlins! They're no longer my friends. Well, if I beat up the Gremlin leader, then I can liberate them. Unending supply. Let's make you weak for a turnabout. And then hit you with a strike. And rain of dice on somebody. So, Shield Gremlin is protecting the leader. Leader gives everybody strength and some defense. They're going to do a bunch of damage. So if I could do something that would give the enemy a weak, that would be lovely. Let's go ahead and play those top 3 cards for free. Right on. Exotic form goes down to 1 cost, which is great. We're going to Snake Sap to get a bunch of extra energy. Draw some stuff. Extra block. Hit you with that. Gives me an extra card because it's off class. Snake Rake. Dice block. Flame Barrier. Huge defense. But I don't think I need to do that. So it's only 3 hits, but that'll be 12 damage that they do to themselves from the flame wall. Cursed Weapon. Lose 4 HP. This deal 5 damage. This card permanently gains 3 damage. Okay, that's interesting. Upgrade all of that. Lose 3 HP. You don't have vulnerable. I'm gonna go ahead and gain that. Envenom is pretty cool. I'll go ahead and do that because that'll give you some venom. And I'm gonna get rid of these 2 basic cards to thin out toward better stuff. And now they bring more gremlins. So I could exhaust my hand to do 8 damage for each card exhausted, which is pretty good. So this comes back, and that will make you... So you're going to die. Yeah, let's go ahead and do Fiend Fire on you. So that also gives them 8 poison, which is great. So I'll take a little bit of health damage, but he died from poison, which I forgot. So no HP loss there. So you got 7 poison against 16 HP. You're not going to die just right now. Discard your hand, draw that many cards. Okay. Let's upgrade everything that's off class, and then let's just end this fight. Without the leader, the gremlins run away. Ta-da! Max HP up by 7 is great. Gain some counter. Now we have 2 of these. I should use one. And yeah, I'll skip. The Slither Strike is pretty good, but I'm already at a lot of cards, so let's not get too... let's not get too clever here. Alright, so this would let me raise my max HP if I defeat the enemy, but that's probably not going to happen, so let's just go ahead and put the damage on whenever we can. And that's good. Alright, so 25 damage coming in. Let's make you vulnerable. Let's do a block. Let's gain counter again. So we're going to take some health off of this. But now they're down to 13, and we'll see if we can finish them off this turn. We can't, because all of these are defense cards. Womp womp. So they're going to steal some more souls, but then I'll have one more turn to get them before they run away. There's an attack. So all of those souls are mine. Add a card. They really want to put that Slither Snake in front of me. Now look at all this money I have. All of the souls. So when adding cards to your deck, you may raise your max HP by 2 instead. That's pretty good for where I am now, where I probably don't want to add cards to my deck. And look at, and my max HP is already pretty high. That's cool. Start elite combat with 2 strength. We're on the second biome. It's not hugely powerful. We can get rid of something, which I think would probably be a basic card. Probably maybe my basic defend. We have a little bit more offense than defense, but that's usually fine. Every 4th question room is a treasure room. Let's go ahead and get rid of the defend. And we'll get that, because we're good on souls. 3 random attacks. Liquid Memories is good. Power Potion is good. And we still have enough that if we get that green gem from the elite in the next round, we can take it. If we get the chance. Okay, exotic form for free is pretty good. This one we don't need then. Deals 7 damage to a random enemy. Repeat for each exhausted ethereal card, and then exhaust. So this is really good in a Hexaghost deck. Maybe not so good for us. Start of each turn, we're going to get an off-class card. That sounds great. And we're going to hit you. We have 0 block. Let's get in a bunch of block. And then poison you. And then defend. Lovely. defeat this enemy, I will become vulnerable. So I want to keep that in mind. Start of your turn, concentrate. X dead on card. Oh, look at this. 2 different wall cards. 4 damage back, soul burn. 4 damage back, I think is better right now. Block for free. Snake rake. I'll go ahead and add that for free. That's all good. These cards don't get muddled, so I'm not going to go ahead and use Soul Draw. So I might draw things that are... I'd probably draw things that are unplayable. Bullet time. You cannot draw additional cards this turn. Reduce the cost of all cards in your hand to 2. But every time I play an off-class card, I will draw 1 card. I think that's worthwhile. Dice block. Yeah, that worked out. 1 more turn until your soul burn kicks in. Upgrade. Terror becomes free, which is great. Discard Wraith Form. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have discarded Wraith Form, so I'm going to take some damage. Now we're going to take a maximum of 1 damage. I muddled bullet time down to 0, that would be pretty cool. Did not. Okay. So, now every turn I'm losing 1 dexterity, but I have 2 more turns of intangibility. And given all this soul burn, I should be okay. Snake Lake. So now they're gonna die from soul burn. But let's go ahead and have some fun. Oh no, I'm so scared. Burninated. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Ooh, colorless boss card. That's worth it. Boss cards are very powerful. Deck big. Alright, 20 remuddle a card, you're going to gain block. Weak and vulnerable. Upgrade all off-class cards. Oh, they nerfed Awaken, I think. This used to also give a strength bonus. Understandable, it's a very good card, even without that strength bonus. Coming up on 4. So, it might take another hour or so to finish this run if I keep succeeding. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play until this boss, and then if I lose, the run's over. If I win, we'll stop there. Dual wield, I don't have any attacks, but maybe I will get one from here. So, and now I have extra fire starters. Wicked fire starters. And soul burn for everyone. Now I'm cursed with a hex. So, this card is very situational. Alright, so we're going to double this one up to make sure we have a lot of block, and then go ahead and use that. So, ethereal power. So I should always just let that exhaust, because it will play and it's a power, so it only has to get played once. You're going to die from soul burn, but you're going to do 27 damage, which is a lot. What if you didn't? The defend is now 3, which is a lot. Oh, 27 against 21 is not huge. Okay. 88 health remaining. We have one more normal fight. It's the Snecko plant. Snake on snake combat. Do those first to make sure that I can get to the block. Purity, get rid of one strike, it's probably fine. We're going to take a little bit of damage. So every time I hit this enemy, upon receiving attack damage, gains 3 block. Block gain increases as malleable is triggered, resets to 3 at the start of your turn. So hitting this creature a bunch of times in the same turn is not as effective. Instead, smaller numbers of bigger hits are more effective. So, Flame Barrier, because we're going to take a bunch of damage. We're going to reduce these costs, so extra crispy. I'm going to do that to gain some energy. So now we've got 25. We can use the Automa Beam, which is 1 bigger hit. Not going to take any damage. We are going to lose one energy next turn because of the kind of de-energized from the super beam. But that's enough to defeat this enemy because they don't get the malleable defense between hits of a multi-hit attack from one card. No. Be good. Alright, the Hermit, who destroyed us last time. 996. Defend coming up. So, Cheap Stock. Fatal Desire. Well, let's do that first. Defend for free. Muddle. Muddle that again. Okay. So we're going to take some damage, and our plated armor is already down to 2, which is a bummer. Roundhouse Kick. Stun enemies that don't intend to attack. You're immune to stun, right? Can't be stunned. Yeah, so that's a bummer, but it's still 15 damage, right? It's not nothing at all. If I'd done the Wide Sting first, maybe that would have gotten some bonus. We have 1 energy, so go ahead and draw those. Draw 2 cards. I don't need to draw 2 cards. So I don't want to draw less next time. So attacking this enemy also gives them strength because when I attack them I burn through their cards, but every 6 times I do that they get strength. Which is not so great for me, honestly. So this is the boss card this time. 3 weak and vulnerable. I mean, that would reduce the amount of damage you're going to do to me, right? Alright, so now I have 5, which means I can do that. Saves me a good chunk of damage. Defend. You are vulnerable. So 24 against 28. So let's say, let's do that. And then improvise the guard. You don't have any poison. So we're just going to exhaust that so it's not in my hand. Good epic music for the boss fight. Oh, if I do it 6 times in one turn, maybe. That's not so bad. That's fine, actually. Weak and vulnerable. I may need to defend because you're going to attack me. Tailwood. One, two, three. Okay, so I'll take a little bit of damage because I ended my turn at 0 energy, but that let me do a lot that turn. Vulnerable. Again, 2 damage. At this point, I'm racing the enemy to 0 hit points, and I think I can do that race, depending on what I draw. Rain of dice for 0, rain of dice for 1. Two hits. Hoping, yeah. Victorious. And a rare. Choose one. Yeah, good old DPS race situation, yeah. Draw 1 card, choose a card, then transform your hand to that card's class. That's really cool. So, I'll give that a shot. I don't want to take this one. I'm going to take that Sacred Bark. So, now I would go to the 3rd biome, Act 3, the Beyond. There's a lot of elites here, and I'm going to try to get this way, go here to get the green so that then I can break it here so that I can go to the end game. I've gotten a bunch of stuff, I'm getting all these things. You're seeing how your build kind of comes into focus sometimes over the course of play because you get all these bonuses that let you make certain kind of positive synchronicity between various cards and things like that. So that is Slay the Spire. Downfall.
That's a movie. Oh.
Downfall is a free fan expansion, which is very cool. So I highly recommend it if you have played Slay the Spire. If you haven't played Slay the Spire, I would encourage you to play the main Slay the Spire first. All of the Downfall characters are really complicated, and the main game introduces you to mechanics in a very sensible fashion and how they unlock the different characters so that you can learn what to expect in the game and how different things interact with one another. So that is that. Myr is still live, so we are going to go and raid. Turbo thumbs up, yep. Not a lot of good thumbs up emotes. Interesting. I have been thinking about emotes, so pardon me for a second while I email myself with your very good idea. Thumbs up emotes on Twitch. So now I have sent that to myself so that I can remember that it's 1, a good idea, and 2, that you are the person who suggested it. Arudnell, thank you for that. Thank you for the resub. Thank you to the Kids Are Asleep for hanging out. Thank you to the Master DS for coming by and saying hi and the follow. And thank you to everybody who was lurking today or who watches later on. Yeah, Turbo36 thumbs up. And I'm going to say we have a schedule here. Normally I stream on Sundays and Wednesdays, and then this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Girl by Moonlight over at Arvin Eleron, and I'm also going to be appearing on programming at Flights of Foundry this weekend. You can find my schedule at my website, and otherwise I will see you all either for Girl by Moonlight or next week for new streams, and we are going to go and raid Myr. Prepare for the raid.
want to support people who can't